This morning, I'm with David Molian, the director of the Business Growth Program. Now, David, I've heard a lot about squeezing the lemon, and now I'm hearing things about growing a pie. So, is this BGP or is this MasterChef?
Well, you might be forgiven for thinking we're running a food program here, but actually it's quite definitely the Business Growth Program. We've talked already about squeezing the lemon, and growing the pie is really complementary to squeezing the lemon as one of the key topics that we talk about on the program. Squeezing the lemon is all about figuring what your customers can do for you. Growing the pie is looking at the things the other way around and thinking about what you can do for your customers in terms of creating more value for them.
Okay, that's really intriguing, and it sets us off on a different line of conversation with our customers.
That's the intention. And really the idea for growing the pie came out of my observations from working with companies on BGP over the last 10 years. And what I'd seen is that a lot of businesses seem to be locked into very unproductive conversations with their customers, which kept revolving around prices and margins, looking for a little bit here and a little bit there. And two things really struck me about these conversations. One is they were adversarial, so they were locking heads with their customers, which wasn't productive for either party. And the other thing was that it was all about how do we get a little bit more of the pie rather than, if we collaborate, could we jointly grow the pie for the benefit of both of us?
Okay, I get the theory. Now, can you give us some practical application? Just give me an example of how that worked.
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you have to understand where you add value to the customer's business. This may come as a bit of a surprise, but an awful lot of businesses, an awful lot of good businesses, actually don't really understand where they add value to the customer. And as you know, on BGP we bring together people from all walks of life who've never met each other before, and over a concentrated period of time they work very closely together and they dig deep into each other's businesses. And they uncover things about each other's businesses which are not necessarily apparent to the owners of the business. So they ask questions, they drill deep, and they discover what it is that the owner-manager is delivering in terms of value for the customer. Out of that comes a process of exploration discovery that says, well, if you're doing this, maybe you could also be doing that. And if you do this as well, then that's something for which the customer would be prepared to pay more because it's delivering additional value.
Okay, and what are the outcomes if you start to have those conversations with your customers?
Well, let me give you an example of a business that came on BGP a few years ago. They're a market research company, and they operate at what I would describe as the heavyweight end of market research. So they do complex statistical analysis for big consumer market research projects. And they employ very clever people, they deliver great work, but customers are prepared to pay a premium for 2 bits of added value which this business brings to their business. The first piece of added value is that they liaise early on with the people who collect the market research data to ensure they ask the right questions. Because if you don't ask the right questions up front, no amount of analysis at the back end is going to deliver you the right answers. The second way they add value is, in addition to producing the big statistical report, they produce short form reports which focus on the key issues and the key answers coming out of the research. They design these extremely carefully so they can be used within the client company for discussion and for decision making. So you get 2 real benefits for the client coming out of this. One is the project gets set up right the first time, and the second is you can reduce the decision making cycle. Now, if you're a major multinational, that's got some serious implications because it means that you take decisions faster, you get to market quicker, you get to market in the right order and with the right product portfolio. And so that has huge implications for the return on investment which the multinational is making in their research program.
Great, great. And so just stepping back and thinking about our BGP audience, what advice would you give an owner-manager who wants to take up this idea and run with it?
The first thing is to walk through your cycle of activity so you understand where you add cost and where you add value. Customers not prepared to pay for adding cost, but they're prepared to pay for adding value. So that's the first thing, is you really need to understand where you add value. The second thing is to look outside more broadly at what you're doing, to get into the customer's head, to get into the customer's shoes and understand what it is that they're looking to get from you and where you might add additional value. It's at the margins very often that owner-managed businesses can compete more successfully than their competitors. So what is it that you can add that's beyond the obvious, which is of real value to the customer? And the way you find that out is by engaging really closely with your customer. The end result of that, happy customers who are prepared to pay a premium for what you can do.
That's great, David. Thank you very much.